Tosh, and I am with the Black Business Alliance, and we are here for Journey to Success. I am elated to introduce our guest today. Her name is Gisselle Fequiere from GTA Firm. I believe that stands for Gisselle Tax and Accounting. I would love to have her clarify. So, Gisselle, thank you for joining us today. We're so happy to have you.
Hi, Clovia. Thank you for inviting me. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, so first question, of course, is obvious. Tell me, obviously your name and your
Yes.
business, and I would love for you to give me just an origin story as to what made you to come up with it and how you
hmm
got started.
Absolutely. So you have my name right. It's Gisselle Fequiere, and I'm the owner of Gisselle Tax and Accounting. So that's where GTA firm comes from, the abbreviation. And pretty much starting out my career, I kind of always knew I was good at math. I think when we're like at adolescence, we kind of lean towards the things that we're good at. So whether it's drawing or math or science or whatever, I knew that like writing was not for me. Don't have me write no poems. I cannot draw in the lines. Like just it was all about the numbers for me. Not even science. Like I don't want to do no experiments. Like leave me alone. So it was all about the numbers for me. It came very natural. Like I enjoyed analyzing things and finding the penny or whatever the case may be. So I knew that at a very young age that math was something that I liked to do. It was not until I kind of got to college when we start to, you do your first year, your gen ed courses, and then you kind of start to realize like what concentration you wanted to go into. And then I discovered accounting, and I'm like, okay, well, like, what is this? And it kind of fit like right in line with what I naturally love to do. So kind of picked that as my major in sophomore year, and pretty much throughout my career, I was all about accounting. Started my career in the private sector of accounting. So when you look at accounting, a lot of people think CPA, 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 and that's like a specific branch, right? So the definition of CPA is certified public accountant, right? I knew for me, because I heard the horror stories, that I don't know if that's some place that I want to go. And so kind of the horror stories is like it's a little redundant, the work you're doing, and you have to kind of do all this travel to these like different office locations and stuff like that. So I kind of knew that wasn't the way I wanted to do. I'm more of like a free spirit. So I went the private route. So when you go the private route, you kind of work with different industries. So I've had like the pleasure to work with tech companies and construction companies and manufacturing companies. So it's taking me like all over, but in a different space than kind of doing the same thing. When you're doing a CPA route, you're more, for me, working with like, smaller companies that you kind of have a stronger like relationship with the people you're working with versus in being different companies kind of every day. So I went that route, and it really opened my eyes to business and like really seeing behind the walls of just, okay, you may see even like a restaurant or something, and you look at it from the outside as a consumer, but when you're behind the books and looking at the numbers, it's be a little different, okay? So, I mean, I kind of went on a tangent there, but that's kind of how I got started. So I got my bachelor's and my master's in accounting, and I just kind of been going off in that avenue ever since.
You're lucky because a lot of people would like something and still not think like I'm someone I love reading, I love writing, but it's not enough for me to say like I want to be an English teacher. So the fact that you knew, the fact that you knew, and how many years later, right? Since you've been in school over 10 years. Yeah, exactly.
How old am I? Ooh.
Yeah, I was trying to give you a little bit.
10 years? Yes, it's been 10 years since I graduated.
It's fascinating that you not only knew, but you were right?
Yeah.
You took a bet and you bet on yourself. So tell me a little bit more about numbers when you were younger. Was there anyone in your family that was into like numbers or?
That's a good question. No, not honestly nobody. And it's funny how you said like how I'm taking something I love and I'm at adolescence and kind of rolling with it. Because I really thought I was supposed to be a lawyer. I was like, oh, I could argue you down. Oh, debate team. But I don't like reading. I'm sorry. Yes, sorry. I don't like reading. And I was like, if I have to read for 8 hours a day, I don't know if I could do it. So it's funny you say that, but yeah, but numbers is something I don't know. Nobody really influenced me. I just kind of, I guess I'm more in tune with myself and things that I like, and it was just so natural to like just resonate with the numbers, analyzing of things, and that's kind of how that happened for me. Yeah.
Wow, thank you for sharing. So who do you serve? Who does your business serve?
Yeah, so Gisselle Tax and Accounting, we service small business owners, mainly like service-based businesses. So restaurants, coaches, consultants. We do a few e-commerce here and there, but mainly it's going to be our service-based businesses. And it could be either startups or people who are, well formed and have, good revenue going and know what they're doing. But we really reach out to the community, and we're very customizable in how we provide our services. So if you come to us, we'll be able to service you. It's just about finding the right services that you need at the time and the stage that you are in your business, and then we tailor our services to that.
So how long have you been in business? I know you've been doing accounting, you said, for 14 years.
Yes, yes.
So
Yeah, so I've been in business about 3 years. I started my company kind of like what we all do, work in the corporate, but then have our little side business. So I was doing that, and I actually got laid off in October 2024. And I said, you know what, that is my cue to just go 100% in my business, and that's what I did. But the business was created in 2022, so it's 23, and so it's been about 3 years now. But about on my own, 100%, like all in the business, not on the side. It's been like about a year and a half. But
wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So how did you know? What was the definitive moment for like I need to do this full time and not go find another job after you got laid off?
Yeah. So that was like the second time I got laid. I mean, my gosh. The second time I got laid off in like the last 2 years when that happened, I was just okay. I can just take it back a little bit, right? Because COVID happened, right? And we were all home, working from home. I was like, oh my gosh, this life is is new, and I love it. And I just could not get out of that cycle of having my freedom of being at home. Like I have a son, so I was able to like see him come home and cook for him, and have something on the stove, but yet still be working. So I just fell in love with that lifestyle. And then when things started to open back up, they started to do this hybrid. All right, now we have to do hybrid. I'm like, okay. And then that first layoff I had, a lot of the jobs, it was really hard to even find hybrid after a while. Like they wanted us back in the office, and I said, oh no, I don't want to do that. So the last job I had, I was working hybrid, and then when they laid me off, I was just like, you know what? I love the lifestyle of being at home, and the only way I can really guarantee that is one, working for myself, right? Having control over my time. And I said, I'm just not going to go search anymore. I'm going to bet on myself. We're going to see if this works, because, I'm telling you, we all are conditioned and trained to, get an education, find a job, and, invest in your 401k, all of the things, and have the comfortability of a check. But at the end of the day, it first of all, there's a ceiling. Okay. There's a ceiling when it comes to corporate. I mean, you become the CFO, that would be like the ceiling for me, or a partner, there's still a cap. But when you have your own business and you have control over how much you're making, how you grow, and how you scale, it's different. So that factor in it for me, and also just controlling my time, because time is literally the most precious thing. The richest man can't buy time, and I recognize that value. And I wanted to just create a life for myself where I can just truly be happy, and that's kind of where I said, no more corporate for now. Let's focus on bet on ourselves, and that's just kind of what I did.
That must have been scary. Like you mentioned, you have a son, and having to give up your corporate lifestyle, right? Essentially, I'm sure there's a lifestyle that you guys are accustomed to.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what gave you the reassurance that I can really do this? Did you give yourself like, oh, I'm going to give this 6 months, then I might have to go back to a job, or?
Yeah, really, really good question. I think for me, and this is like advice to anybody else who's kind of in the position of, I want to do my own thing, right? I would say first start out doing it on the side while you're still working corporate, or whatever job you're working. It could be McDonald's, whatever. Um, so at least you don't have, because when you're running your business, nobody wants somebody who's desperate. You know what I'm saying? Like, you need a sale today or else you're not gonna eat. Okay, we could feel that across the table when you're selling to somebody. So you never want to have that energy when you're doing your business. So I'd say stick with whatever your main source of income is before you make that transition. Usually they would say like to do, or I would recommend have your side business make as much as your main source of income. I didn't have that. I didn't do that. I did take a jump, but I just had faith, honestly, to really say it. But actually having the business somewhat running, having some presentation in the community did help me to just take the extra push. But that's what I would say, because I was already starting it, and then just an extra faith, like, you know what, I'm not necessarily at the mark I wanted to be before I leave my business, my job, but this is a circumstance. I got fired, I got laid off, whatever, and not fired. Okay, I got laid off, and I said, let's bet on ourselves, and so it's just faith. Got a little faith, in this business thing. Nothing's gonna be 100%, and even with your job, right? We think that's secured, right? But you get laid off,
right?
So
twice you said it.
Twice,
yeah.
So it's there's security, but it's almost fake security as well. So we kind of have to take all that with a grain of salt.
Okay, so you mentioned working from home. So that requires another, like, I'm a coffee shop worker, okay? I cannot, if I'm in my house, I will be organizing, cooking, cleaning, straightening my hair. So what kind of discipline does it require to have, because for you to have a successful business, and like say you're also a mom, and from what I understand, you own property and all those other things, you must have a phenomenal work ethic. How do you work from home?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, my hard part is the kitchen. I love to eat. You talking about organizing now? I want to go eat something in the fridge. Yeah, when the bills have to get paid, it's a certain level of discipline. I don't know, it just kind of turns off for me. So like literally, like right now it's tax season, so I am like 12 hours plus a day at the computer. It just has to get done, and I think for my line of business is very seasonal, right? So we have like January through let's just say the beginning of May to kind of make all our money for the year, essentially, right? So it's just a focus. You just have to stay focused. Keep your mind on the game, because at the end of the day, it's about creating a lifestyle for yourself, and hopefully we work hard now so that later we don't have to work as hard. But yeah, you just have to have great self-discipline. So that's also another thing people need to consider if they're going to be doing their own business. Do you have the self-discipline that if you don't have a boss telling you got to be to work, you got to be up at 9:30, and you got to make sure you take these meetings, are you going to do it? Right? So yeah, you have to know yourself, but I know my goal at the end of the day, so I know I have to stay on track. Yeah.
Makes sense. And you're talking about seasonal businesses. So since your business is seasonal, what are some other seasonal businesses that you work with, such as like wedding venue? Are there certain businesses that are more seasonal?
So not necessarily in the industry type of season, but it depends on the business. So like I have an e-commerce business that I work with. So their business is very seasonal, right? Maybe like in April, people are getting their tax money, March, April. So I guess right now, they may see an influx of sales because people have more money to spend. Definitely at the end of the year, that's their biggest month, Black Friday, or Christmas, right? But then in January, February, sales are super low. So it really just depends on the business. I have like a personal chef. That can be seasonal, but that may not be tied into necessarily like holidays or things like that. So it really just depends on the business, but then we kind of get into like scaling a business and cash flow. What do we need to look at in terms to make sure we're covering our expenses in times that seasons are low. So yeah, I definitely deal with that in my business and with others, and helping them to understand how to maneuver the season so that they're covered, throughout the year and not suffering through the downtimes.
Right. So that's what I was going to ask you. So is part of your offerings like financial planning?
Yeah, so we do tax planning, which is about being proactive with your taxes. So a lot of times people wait until April to file their taxes, and sometimes they're like, oh, well, how can I save on tax? I'm like, oh, should have came to me before the year is over. So I always like recommend to people that it's really important to be proactive. So we need to look at our taxes in the year that it's happening, not waiting until the year's over and waiting until filing time to start asking questions. So we look at like entity structure, we look at like your personal life, like retirement, like what are your goals, what revenue is your business doing. So we look at all these different things to kind of help you understand the best moves to make to actually take action in the year so that you can save on taxes. So we do a lot of tax planning, and then we do, we just talk about financial planning, but it's called fractional CFO services. So we do bookkeeping as well. So when bookkeeping is actually just categorizing the transactions, right? But once you categorize everything, like what do you do from there, right? You need to understand your numbers and understand how to scale and how to move forward. So with fractional CFO services, we help you to understand that, right? We help you to understand if you're selling products or certain type of services, what service lines or product lines are actually creating the revenue for you. You may have a high ticket price item or service, but then it requires you to do 10x the amount of work or cost of goods sold. So it's like, truly, is this high ticketed item making you the profit, right? Because it's taking more expenses or more time to do it. So that may not be your best sell. Maybe sell the lower price thing, but it takes you like an hour to do, or it costs a fraction of the amount to produce. So these are the type of conversations that we have when we are talking about fractional CFO services, looking at your business and not just doing the numbers, not just filing them for or booking them for financial purposes and for your taxes, but actually understanding what these numbers mean and what action should I take based on these numbers in the year that it's happening, not after, right? Because we don't want the year to pass and then be like, oh man, I should have, canceled that subscription. I wasn't even using it.
Right. So what is a fractional CFO, and when should a company bring, and how do you bring one in, and when, and or do you need one?
Yeah, I think it really just depends on every business. I like, even some people ask me like, when should I have a bookkeeper, things like that, and I'm like, hey, you could probably do some of this stuff on your own, depending on, everyone has a knowledge base of accounting or understanding how business works. You can watch some YouTube videos. I think everybody's smart, and you can learn whatever you need to learn in a certain amount of time. But it's like, do you have the time to do it? Right? Is your focus to do something that you kind of don't really know what you're doing and maybe do it right and spend hours doing it, or should you be focusing on growing your business? So like, what are your goals? So it's a really more in-depth conversation. And then what's your cash flow? Can you afford it, or can you afford not to have it, right? So somebody like, I can't afford it, but you can't afford not to have it, because you're going to lose more money by not paying for like an accountant or paying for bookkeeping, or be out of compliance, right? And then now you have some penalty that you need to pay. So it's really like a question. It depends based on the person that I'm sitting across. But it's always, to me, in my opinion, as somebody who has scaled business, to get someone in, and that's something that we tailor to each business early on, so that you're set up correctly, and then as you scale, you can engage your accountant more. But it's always good to at least have a consultation, right, to understand where you are and where you should be going and how you need to get there.
It's funny when you use the word being proactive, right? I feel like we all understand being proactive about your health, right? Walking and exercising and eating, but this essentially is the health of your business. Yeah. So you have to be proactive there as well.
Oh my God, you hit the nail on the head.
Thank
yes,
you.
that's actually what I say to people. I'm like, especially when you do like their bookkeeping, sometimes they're doing it on their own, or they may be using someone else, and they want to engage us, and I say, I need to do like a diagnostic. I need to review the health of your books. Like, I need to review the health of your business. So it's funny you say that, because I do use that word, but it does coincide, and it's super important, just like our personal health. If you want to grow, you want to be healthy, you want to reach those goals that you're looking for, then you got to do the work. You got to assess You got to make sure you're feeding your body, feeding your books, right? So that was definitely a good analysis there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So speaking of health, what do you do now? You said you're in. We saw you walking with your laptop.
Yeah. Oh, I bring that girl everywhere.
What do you do to protect like your physical and mental health to not have
Ooh.
burnout? Because that is a real thing. As a fellow entrepreneur, I remember one time launching my company. My therapist was like, "You need to go on a vacation because it's just it's not healthy."
Yeah.
So how do you protect your mental and physical health?
I'm getting better at that. I think last year I definitely like burnt my, burnt. It was crispy. Okay, I burned myself out last year, and I said, you know, I was mindful like I can't do that again. So like an indicator for me, because I tell you I love to eat. I literally gained like 30 pounds last year. Yeah. So I was, you know, at the desk 12 hours a day, like just eating out. Uber Eats has all my money. You know, just not eating right, not moving my body, just going for like 4 months straight. Not healthy at all. So definitely don't recommend that for people. So I'm learning myself how to be kinder to myself, taking the breaks. But I do always book a vacation right after tax season. So I definitely have one booked. Try to go international, like do it big.
Yeah.
But it's something I do struggle with myself. But it's just, you just have to be aware. You have to be conscious. I mean, guys don't gain 30 pounds, you know what I mean? But that was definitely like, you know, a red flag for me. But just be mindful. Be mindful. Don't burn your, it's not worth it. So create that balance. So now I make sure like I go to the gym at least twice a week. You know, I create the time. I block it out. Just like I block out these clients, I block out the time for myself. You know, I make sure I take a day, because I wasn't taking no days. When I say 12 hours, it was 12 hours every day, weekends. I was hungry, and I'm still hungry. and that's no pun intended. But you just have to be aware. You have to be conscious. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So tell us about your first sale or your first client.
Oh my gosh. I don't remember. Ooh, because I be just going hard. Going real hard. But I definitely got my first client from like a referral. So when I started my business, I was like, okay, we at zero. What we gonna do? How we gonna get this? Man, I was out here going to cars. Like I printed out flyers. And I was like in the Walmart parking lot putting it on cars. That did not work. Wasting money.
Wow. I liked it though.
Yeah, so old school. Like, come on, it's like social media. Hello. But yeah, I was doing that. I was, what else was I doing? Oh, I did mailers, like with the USPS. Like, those are expensive. Those did not work. But then I started doing a lot of networking events. And that definitely was like a game changer. So, you know, in this business, obviously people need to trust me. So I was doing a lot of shaking hands, right? So now if somebody meets you, that's already like a warm connection. They see you in person, and they see, you know, you look professional, and, you know, or maybe somebody referred you. So it was definitely like an in-person connection at a networking event, or a referral. I don't remember exactly who was the main person. So for those of you who getting into business at all, or just definitely in my line of business, having like a warm connection is super important, because this business is based on trust. You're dealing with people's money and their personal information, so you want to make sure, you know, you are who you are. Yeah.
Was there ever a moment that you were like, I want to quit? I don't think I can do this?
Not yet. Okay. Not yet. And that's where, you know, we have to be mindful of the whole burnout thing. Like we have to make sure we don't burn out, so that we're like, we want to quit, right? No, I am hungry right now. Like I'm literally 100% in. I want to grow. I'm on a growth track, just going up. So not yet. Hopefully I don't feel that way, and I'm able to structure my business in a way where I can bring people in, you know, and alleviate certain type of like daily work for myself, but yet still making sure the culture and our customer service is still at that top tier, as if I was doing everything. You know, so I think it's just being mindful of how you structure the business, but haven't felt that yet.
Yeah, that's good. So you mentioned burnout and, you know, taking care of yourself. What are some other mistakes, or one of the biggest ones? Like, what has it taught you about either yourself or your business or starting a business? Was there anything you wish you would have done differently?
I wish I would have brought help on sooner.
Mm.
Like this year, I definitely have a couple of part-time people. But it's a funny thing because you don't know if you're gonna need the help yet. When you need the help, it's kind of like too late.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I probably would have just had, somebody kind of in the gate ready to go. Um, Last year that I did do, so I wouldn't have felt that burnout. So I could just kind of like, hey, tag you in. But of
Mhm.
course, explaining to them like, hey, this is not like a full time. It's not like even a part time. It's like as
You need
needed
it, yeah.
basis. So I wish I would have had set that up last year so that when I did feel overwhelmed, I had somebody ready to go that can kind of like take a few hours because that makes a big difference, right? Even if it's like 10 hours a week or 5 hours, like something is
Wow, yeah.
something,
Mhm.
right? So that's definitely something I would recommend. Just being proactive in that case of actually doing great business and having a lot of sales that you do have those things in line if it does happen. Yeah.
I'm just learning how, because I'm in a product based business,
Mhm.
and one of our clients just started a home care agency,
Okay.
and she doesn't have a contract yet, but she's like, I'm hiring, interviewing CNAs, and that was essentially the response. She said, why? Because
Mm.
once she gets, since she's in a nursing home or a client, she wants to have CNAs ready to go instead of waiting.
Yeah, that's super important. Yeah, you just explain to them, hey, listen, we can push the button in 30 days or whatever the case
Mhm.
may be. We're just waiting for contracts to come in, but you set those things in place so that God, hope all willing, right?
Mhm.
Business takes off. You're not like, oh my God, running around, fumbling around, getting the
Right.
wrong people in place, and I was able to do it because it's just me in my line of business, and I just burned myself out. But if you have people like depending on you, and you have, and you're in a business where you have other need employees to work, then yeah, that she's kind of doing it. She's definitely doing the right thing, vetting people,